It makes a huge difference. And I want to speak directly to libertarians here. Don't make the mistake that people made in France after the turn of the century, or the last century, the century before, 2 centuries ago. Okay, the French Revolution. Don't make that mistake that Thomas Paine made. Revolutions or collapse is not a good thing. They usually go the way of Greece. They are long and drawn out and ugly. And I know there are libertarians out there. I know them who are like, you know what, just let the whole thing collapse because they're all alike. And you don't want that. Collapse is not coming back the freedom way. It's not. It's why the progressives even exist. They agreed with the communist, but the communist wanted revolution. And they said Americans don't want revolution, and it doesn't work out well because whoever starts the revolution, it usually doesn't end with those people. And we don't want all the bloodshed. I mean, in a way, the progressives were good guys compared to the communist revolutionaries. And they were like, look, we hate the Constitution as much as you do, but that's not the way to get it changed in America. You don't do it the revolution way. Well, may I make the same recommendation to anybody who thinks collapse would be okay? No, it wouldn't. And also, if a collapse comes, who has the reins of power? Do you remember how many times since September 11th I've talked about this pendulum swinging so far one direction or the other? And that pendulum swings. And you don't want radicals in the office because as it swings farther and farther, left and right in the political scale, left and right, at some point things will go out of control and you will have somebody that will grab that pendulum. Now, Abraham Lincoln grabbed that pendulum and then returned it in the center and started it swinging again. Do you believe that Barack Obama, in a collapse, would grab that pendulum, put it in the center, and start it swinging again? I don't. Now, maybe I misjudged the president, but he gives me no indication that if there was a collapse, he would reset it the American way. Mitt Romney would. Now, I don't agree, as you know, I don't agree with everything Mitt Romney says. But I do know this. The guy prays on his knees, and the guy is humble, just like Abraham Lincoln. If you read the stuff on Abraham Lincoln, you read his first inaugural address, I don't agree with everything Abraham Lincoln was saying. In retrospect, he was like, we can't really take this on, but we have to keep the Union together and blah, blah, blah. But he wasn't making it about slavery, even though he was trying to solve slavery. He believed in that. He just didn't believe in it this way, and that wasn't his main priority. His main priority was to save the Union. It wasn't until he fell to his knees and said, what do you want? What is it you want? You want me to free the slaves? Fine, I'll free the slaves. I'll make that the number one priority. Help us. That's when everything changed. But you have to be humble and on your knees. And may I ask you, do you believe Barack Obama is either of those things? There is a huge difference. One is offering you free stuff and an easy life and free money and free Obama phones and free thing. The other is saying, look, this is going to be tough, but it's worth it. We can do it. We can create jobs. He didn't say, let's destroy the car industry. He didn't say that. What he said was, let's do this the right way. Let's have them go through a structured bankruptcy. Let's have them go through their books and see where they need to shed so they can restart and survive. You had Barack Obama give GM a short-term fix. Long-term, GM does not survive because it's going to go bankrupt again. And it will not survive. It can't be weakened. It has to go through the reset process so it can restart. We're going to go through some pain. Which do you want it? Do you want honor and integrity and merit? Do you want something that's lasting and real, or do you want a short-term fix? There's a lot of Americans that want a short-term fix. We have waited too long. All of us. Ronald Reagan talked about it. JFK talked about it. FDR talked about it. He said at some point, FDR said he thought it was going to be in the 1980s, and he said it would be irresponsible. But they did it anyway. But he said, we're going to have to pay for these sins probably by the 1980s. It will collapse. Well, we knew this our whole life. I've heard, this is not going to last. It's going to collapse. It's going to collapse. It's not going to last. You can't keep doing this stuff. And you're going to have to pay for it. So we've known. Well, now's the time to pay for it. And every single day that goes by, it gets worse. And it's going to get harder. And we are going to end up like Greece. If we go down the same path as Greece, which was a giant federal bureaucracy where everybody was on the dole. There was no real work ethic anymore. Do you know in healthcare, do you know that Barack Obama in the healthcare bill has now described a full-time work week as how many hours? 30. Since when is it 30-hour work week, France? When did that happen? That is now the official work week according to the Barack Obama healthcare program. 30-hour full-time work week. It's 40. This is the kind of stuff they did in Greece and will end up like Greece. So I just want to I want to find out who are these people in Ohio? I need to understand you because Ohio, I've always understood you. You're good, decent, hardworking people. What kind of black spell has been cast on Ohio? I don't understand it. I really don't, and I want to understand it. I'd like to next week suggest, and believe me when I wrote, you should see the email chain now that's going through the company. Oh, dear God, what? But last night about 11 o'clock, I wrote to the staff and I said, I'd like to be in Toledo. I'd like to be in Columbus. We're going to go through some pain. Which do you want it? Down here. And maybe Andrew down here to use his beautiful new election set. And I should be out of the way.